go. Okay, I will call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging we're in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the members of the panel. To my far left is Mr. Harvey Diamond, to my immediate left is Mr. Harvey Diamond, and to my far left is Mr. Brent McIntyre. My name is Stu McPherson. I'll be chairing the hearing today. The secretary for today's hearing is Ms. Cara Belshaw, and representing the City of Winnipeg Assessment Taxation Department is Mr. Jason Brown. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application. We'll limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are a sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council. It's independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in, and we will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they so wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave, and the process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. Just as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Also, as directed by Manitoba Health, we're requesting people avoid close contact within 2 meters with anyone showing symptoms of a respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing. If you're experiencing flu-like symptoms, we are requesting you excuse yourself from the room. Just another note, if you do have a cell phone, please put that on silent.
So, Mr. Assessor, please state your name.
Jason Brown.
Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And please state your name.
Les Sikowski.
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Sikowski. You're representing business premises for three properties today, and it's the amount of the assessed value that we're dealing with only?
That's correct.
Thank you. So we'll just deal with them as they're listed on the docket itself. So the first property we will hear is 1525 Dugald Road, Unit 6. So when you're ready, Mr. Assessor, we'll hear your evidence, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the property is located at 1625 Dugald Road. Business assessment ID is 51518. This is Royal Dodge Chrysler Corporation. This was appealed to the Board of Revision on the realty level. It was withdrawn by Mr. Tim Browati. Therefore, we're going to proceed with the model-driven values. So we have a total area of 4,800 square feet with an overall ARV per square foot of $7.93. The calculation for this is on the next section down, subject bid 51518. Premise area 4,800 square feet at $5.82, plus costs of heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning. Note that air conditioning is set to 1, so there is no air conditioning cost on this premise. This gives us our total ARV of $38,040. We can see some rent comparables at the bottom, all similar size, similar area, and similar rents. And then on the back of that page, there's an aerial photograph of the subject property. So this is an industrial building in the rear with a Tim Hortons in the front. And once again, it is located on Dugald Road. Based on that information, we ask that the ARV of $38,040 be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sikowski, questions for
I
the
have no
assessor?
questions.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
I have no questions.
I just have one. You said that there's a Tim Hortons on the front, but that's not part of this premise? That's a separate premise?
Correct.
So basically, this is a warehouse type property?
That is correct.
Thank you. Mr. Sikowski, we'll hear from you then, please.
Well, I will not be contesting the ARV on this particular property, so I don't want to present any evidence other than the evidence that was presented by Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Any questions or comments then, Mr. Brown?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Diamond?
So I see in your briefing, you've indicated that you see a per square foot value of 482. I don't see any evidence for that. You see you're not presenting evidence, or not to, what's the purpose of your brief? I'm just trying to figure out what the purpose of your brief was.
I'm sorry, are you speaking to me or?
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah, so I see that I'm looking at your brief and you indicate reduced assessment of $4.82, but you're not presenting any evidence, so you're still maintaining that position still?
No, like I said, I'm not contesting the ARV.
Okay, thank you.
So you just want to confirm? That's right.
Okay.
Okay. Or let's move on to the next property, which is 630 Nairn Avenue. When you're ready, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the property is located at 630 Nairn Avenue. Business ID is 23362. This is Central Products and Foods Limited. We have total area of 14,282 square feet. We've applied an overall ARV of $9.97. The breakdown is a base rent of $7.52 a square foot, plus costs, resulting in a total ARV of $142,380. Some comparables listed below that, all similar location, similar size, and similar rents. This was heard in realty. There was a reduction based on changing the capitalization rate to 7 3/4. So the rent stayed the same in the realty decision. I'll note on the back of my evidence, there is an aerial photograph of the subject property. This is a sausage making, or a butcher shop, I guess you'd call it, but they're called sausage makers. And located on there and just near the bridge, kind of. So based on that evidence, we ask that the ARV be confirmed at $142,380. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sikowski, questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Diamond?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
Yeah, I have no questions.
I have no questions for you. So, Mr. Sikowski, we'll hear from you, please.
Again, in this case, I accept the ARV value as presented by Mr. Brown, so I have
So that's
no other evidence that I'd like to present.
Thank you. So the questions or concerns, Mr. Brown?
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Diamond?
Chairman.
Nothing.
Mr. McIntyre? Okay, that will bring us to 1010 Logan Avenue. When you're ready, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Subjects located at 1010 Logan Avenue, business ID 36068. G&L Sales Limited is the occupier. I actually have a recommendation to lower the ARV to 229,860.
Sorry, that number again, 229.
860. 229,860. And this is based on lowering the rent for the first area, which on the front page is listed at $5.59. I've lowered that to $5.50 or $5.55, sorry. And the following premise at 19,175 square feet, I've lowered that to $2.90. This was reduced via recommendation of the Board of Revision. It was reduced to $2,700,000, which was the sale price. So in order to calculate that, I've lowered both of those rents and proceeded with the rest of the calculations, which is heat is at 1. Actually, the only occupancy cost they have in this area is electricity for the bottom premise area, 19,175. The top one has everything but air conditioning. I followed those same parameters and calculated the new ARV at 229,860. And we asked that that be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sitkowski?
I accept the recommendation.
Any questions or concerns, Mr. Diamond?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Accepting the recommendation, Mr. Sitkowski, and so no further evidence being presented. Okay, I thank you. Thank you very much for your participation this morning.
Thanks, Russell.
And excuse you.
Hey, dude. I don't know where this coffee came from. I don't know. I found it.
Please state your name.
Rocky.
Do you confirm the evidence to present today is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
What are you starting with here?
Mr. Neufeld, you're here representing the owners of business premises for 7 different properties, and it's the amount of assessed value we're dealing with.
Correct.
Thank you. Do you have a copy of the document?
I do.
Then we'll just follow along as it's listed on the docket.
Mine seems to be in different order, but it's okay.
Do you need a new docket?
I can figure it out.
It'll be okay.
I did not so see it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Then the first property we'll deal with is 100 Peckman Road. So when you're ready, Mr. Assessor, give everyone a moment to find it.
This is the biggest case I've ever done. You're gonna go for 452. Did you get a copy? Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I have one. Okay. Subject located at 100 Paquin Road, business ID 50321. This is Sky Blue Water. Is the name of the occupant. Premise area is 70,000 square feet. Used an overall ARV of $6.51. And that's based on a base ARV per square foot of $4.40, plus heat, electricity, and water, no air conditioning. Gives us our total ARV at $455,700. There are some rent comparables listed below. This is located Plessis and Dugald area. There is an aerial photograph at the bottom of page 2. This property was heard at the Board of Revision on the realty level. It was reduced from $8,990,000 down to $7,743,000. And that was based on an adjusted net operating income and a 7% capitalization rate. And based on that information, we're asking that the ARV be confirmed at $455,700. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions for the assessment?
Yes, did you examine or try to calculate how much that change in the net operating income was?
I did not. I actually read that as our net operating income when I looked at it, and now I'm seeing that it's different. I assume you have.
Yes,
And what does it work out to?
very small difference.
Okay.
5 cents,
5 cents.
about 70,000 feet.
Okay, let me just pull up your. And that was, do you know if that was with 7% or 5%?
Just the 2%. They didn't put the non-recoverables back in.
So you're recommending 452,200?
Yes, that's our request.
I'll accept that.
So you're making a recommendation.
Yes, I'm not accepting his recommendation.
So could you give us that amount then?
$452,200.
It's based on the realty decision? Yeah. Nothing further to question then, Mr.
No, that's.
Mr. Diamond?
No questions, thank
Mr.
you.
McIntyre?
I have no questions.
And nothing further to present, Mr. Neufeld?
No.
Thank you. Next one we have listed is 332 Nassau, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you. Okay, right off the bat, I'll make a recommendation on this property. I guess I'll say the address is 332 Nassau Street, business ID 23436, Quintex Services Limited. I will make a recommendation to 370,200.
307?
370200.
Thank you.
Do you want me to go over it, Rocky?
Yeah, I'm just seeing.
Okay, this was based on a recommendation presented at the realty hearing by the Assessment and Taxation Department. The recommendation was based on lowering the rent from $5.99 down to $5.75 and adjusting the cap from 8.3 to 9. This yielded a total realty change from $3,004,000 to.
Oh, okay, wait, so the cap changed too?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take the recommendation. I see what we had calculation.
Yeah.
We had left the cap the same.
Okay.
That's fine.
So your recommendation is 370,200, and that's based on changing the rent from $5.99 to $5.75.
Correct.
Thank you, and Mr. Neufeld, you're in agreement with that?
Yes.
Questions or concerns, Mr. Diamond,
No, there aren't, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Thank you. So nothing further to present, Mr. Neufeld?
No.
Next, we'll deal with 590 Moray Street. Mr. Assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Subjects located at 590 Moray Street. Business ID is 33691. This is MacDon Industries Limited. Defending a total ARV of 370,860. This is based on a total area of 60,477 and a overall ARV per square foot of $6.13 per square foot. The calculation is using a base rate of $3.92 plus costs of heat, electricity, and water on the whole building and air conditioning on a portion of the building, generating the total ARV of $378.60. Once again, I have some comparables listed at the bottom, and once again, there's a map on the back showing that this is in Murray Park on Murray Street on the corner of where Murray bends around. Aerial photograph listed below that. This was heard at the Board of Revision for realty. There was a reduction from $3,155,000 down to $3,046,000. And that decision was based on the assessor's net operating income and a capitalization rate of 7.25. So based on that, we're maintaining the rent at $3.92, the base rate plus costs. I will note that Rocky's rent in his brief was $4.30, so higher than ours, but based on that, we asked that the ARV be confirmed at $370,860.
Well, how dare you say it was my rent? I didn't do that.
Thank you. So I just before Mr. Neufeld questions you, I see that respondent here is Stephen Lobenstein. Should that be changed to?
That should be changed to Jason Brown. This was originally docketed to him.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No problem. That's the one I missed, I guess.
When you're ready, Mr. Neufeld, you can ask questions of the assessor.
May I ask something rather unusual? Can I just take a look at what you had my brief from the realty? I didn't have it with me. Thanks.
No worries. Hopefully I printed the right one.
Okay. And did you have a record whether or not that was appealed to municipal board?
It is appealed to municipal board.
We'll ask this be confirmed.
I'll address it up.
Any questions or concerns, Mr. Diamond?
No, there aren't. Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
McIntyre?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Just asking for confirmation, Mr. Neufeld.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay, bring us to 489 Oak Point Highway, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Address is 489 Oak Point Highway. Business ID is 23736. This is Cummings Western Canada Limited. Total area of 52,095 square feet. We've used an overall ARV per square foot of $6.80, yielding the total ARV of $354,240. The calculation is below. Two premises, one at $42,935 at $4.28. Full heat, full electricity, full water, and partial air conditioning. And then we have the second premise at $9,160, using a base ARV of $589. It's like total heat, electricity, water, and partial air conditioning as well, generating the total ARV of $354,240. Rent comparables listed below. Once again, on the rear of the evidence, there's a map. This is located just off Route 90. This was heard at the Board of Revision, and it was based on the net operating income presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department with a capitalization rate of 7%. So based on that, we asked that the ARV be confirmed at $354,240. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions for the assessor?
Was there a change in value at Board of Revision
There was.
on the cap?
Yeah, a cap rate of 7%.
Okay. And was that appealed to municipal board?
I can tell you right now. It was not, according to our records.
We'll ask that be confirmed as well. Sorry, I was gonna say something to the board that with all due respect, when these come out, we have no idea what's going to happen at Realty, so obviously, these have been filed some time ago, so gives us a chance to review and rethink. Certainly don't mean it as a, we come here and appeal everything under the sun.
Any questions or concerns, Mr. Hyman?
They're not, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. So confirmation is requested for 49 points. We'll move on to 78 Hutchins. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Property is located at 78 Hutchings Street, business ID 4320. This is Calco Controls Limited. ARV is based on a total square footage of 30,004 square feet at an overall ARV of $10.64, yielding the ARV of $319,260. Calculation is below. I'll note that the base ARV of $8.19 was already adjusted from the 15-1 agreement. The original base rent was $9.26. So this was settled via 15-1, and we have flowed through that agreement to the $8.19. This building has full heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning, generating the ARV of $319,260. I'll note that there is a subject lease information, reported rent at $849. Rent comparables listed below that. Once again, map on the rear side on Hutchings between Burroughs and Church. And aerial photograph below that. So based on that information, we asked that the ARV be confirmed at $319,260. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld?
Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading or understanding the picture.
In what regard?
Doesn't it seem like the elevation is skewed?
Yeah, it's taken from an angle, so they're not always. Sometimes there's some optical illusions.
Yeah, okay.
I can show you that picture.
No, they don't give me a screen.
It's not what angle it is. So that's the picture.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so I can see it's missing. Now, on that picture, you'll note the rooftop units.
Yep.
And the rear, you can confirm, does not have rooftop units.
It does appear that way.
I haven't been in the building myself, so I didn't check it out, but has anyone gone through and verified the amount of air conditioning in here?
I would assume that somebody has.
Okay, and you mentioned that this was a flow through. What was the amount flown through on the 15-1? What was the rental amount?
$8.19.
Okay.
Which reduced the value from,
And then-
we went right to the 2016 sale price.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. You went to the sales price, which
Yeah.
ended up creating a rent of $819. And what cap rate was that?
6.5, which was model driven.
So 6.5 at 819 equals 3515. Now, on that basis, if say the cap rate was 8%, the rent would be lower, correct?
That is correct.
So this is a kind of a work backwards calculation.
That would be correct.
So on that basis, did you bring this board any information about cap rates to justify this calculation?
I did not.
Okay, those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Diamond,
No
questions?
questions, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
My only question was, what type of business is this?
It looks like Controls, which is like electrical company.
And as far as you know, the entire building is air conditioned.
As far as I know, just pulling up some notes. Doesn't like it. Can't access the notes from our system, so.
And all your comparables, I'm making the assumption they're all air conditioned as well?
Yes, I would, I mean, I'm not 100% on that, but I would assume that they are.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Neufeld?
Thank you. I gotta say, I didn't prepare any of these briefs. My familiarity with the properties from a different level. Property, they make mechanical controls, which have to do with the flow of fluids through big pipes. And for lack of it's not electrical systems, it's plumbing, fluids, hydraulics. That's their business. We made the agreement on the 15-1 for realty because there was a sale, and I appealed on behalf of the tenant, and the tenant has no control about the house, what somebody pays for their property. So you can see that the assessor's calculation was truthfully working backwards at a cap rate that that no one's challenging here today, but we certainly challenged it at realty, and not on this particular property. Now, we happen to know that the paid rent is $725 on this property. And that's what we had put in. And in my mind, that's even too high because that's well above market. But there were some unusual circumstances on this. They used to be at 1258 Border Street, and there was a partnership dissolution between the people running the business and the people owning it. They had been partners. One group purchased the buildings, and then the other ownership group broke apart from that and moved. So it was a question of finding a site on rather short notice, but they did sign a lease at $725. It is undue pressure, but this is what the number is. As far as air conditioning, I can't say with certainty what it is in air conditioning in the back. I've only ever in my life encountered a real air conditioned space once in industrial. So I can't speak to something I don't know. So I'd request that you change it to the paid rent, which works out to $291,040.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, questions?
Just one. So you're using a rent of $7.25, Mr. Neufeld?
That's correct.
And so to achieve the value of $3,515,000, it would be close to a 6% cap.
Well, the sale, we weren't looking and chasing manufacturing caps and rents. There was a sale, and we agreed to the sale price.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Mr. Diamond?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
Just one clarification, Mr. Neufeld. On page 1, you're showing a rentable area of 38,000 square feet. And then on your workup, it's 30,004 square feet.
Yeah, so I see that's, strike that typo up top.
Okay. That was my only question.
Thank you. And you said the actual paid rent was $725. When was that lease signed?
I think it was post-sale. I'd have to double check my emails. Yeah. I don't have the sale price in front of me. Can I ask the assessor, what do you have for sale date? Do you have,
Just while we're on the rent, the lease was signed November 1st, 2016, ends in 2019, and we're showing $8.49, but that might be gross.
or semi-gross?
Yeah, I can see what they indicated on the thing there. Yeah, this is nice having this.
I know, and you don't normally argue and say you should present it in evidence, but you're letting me look over your shoulder,
Of
so
course.
that's fair.
And I can give verbal evidence. So they're showing as a net rent, $21,000 a month for 65,000 square feet roughly.
And does that equate to 725?
It's equates to 849
So it's
according to our calculations.
You said that was a semi-gross.
It's showing as net on the mailer. But
And what date do you have for sale?
sale is, I believe it was,
I wish I had.
2016, October 27th at $3,515,000. So that, you were correct, that lease was signed just post,
After the sale.
yeah, like 4 days later.
Thank you. That was my only question. A desire for summation on this one?
No, thank you.
By either party, Mr. Neufeld?
I wish I had my computer. Well, whoops, sorry. Too close. It looks,
I know.
they all look the same.
They do all look the same.
Okay, then we'll move on to 777 Century Street. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Subject's located at 777 Century Street, business ID 3968. This is Florco Inc. Total ARV of 285,480. And that's based on 40,924 square feet at $6.98 overall ARV per square foot. That calculation is based on using the base ARV at 482 plus heat, electricity, and water for the entire building and partial air conditioning. There's a subject lease information, reported rent at $5.34 per square foot. Rent comparable is listed below. Once again, on the other side of the evidence, there is a map showing it's near the corner of Wellington and St. James. Just off Century. This was heard at the Board of Revision, and it was based on the assessor's recommendation. So the Board of Revision reduced it from $3,190,000 down to $2,330,000. And that reduction was based on increasing the cap from 7 to 7.7 and maintaining all of the parameters. So based on that information, we ask that the ARV be confirmed at 285,480. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions for the assessor?
Yes, you said that the reduction was 3,190,000 to 2,330,000
Correct.
for a 10% cap change?
0.7.
Well, 10%.
Yeah.
So that should reflect a 10% decrease in value, not a 20% decrease in value.
That's what the information I have in front of me is. Can you calculate it quickly?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. That's a 27% decrease.
You are correct. Let me pull up the original workup. Might have been a typo.
Unaffordable.
I mean, regardless, I think the original rent was higher.
Yes, it was a rent and a cap change.
Yeah, so, you are correct. It's showing 482 on here. So, actual rent was $5.39. I guess it had already been changed. So, it was reduced from $5.39 down to $4.82. Thank you for pointing that out. However, we've already flowed through on the rent change down to $4.82 on my calculation.
Okay. When was that order? The realty?
It was Friday, January 31st.
Yeah, so it couldn't have flown through, could it?
It looks like it was changed in the system before the briefs were even made in January because the evidence is showing 482. And then she wrote actual rent up there at 539.
Okay. What's the value down below there?
3190. So it doesn't make much. Oh, there's additional.
Okay.
Okay.
I see it there. Okay.
There's excess land of 627,000. So it does make sense.
Okay. And you're aware that the occupant owns this property. There is no actual rent.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Khan, questions?
Okay, so you've got on your brief, the reported rent 534, but it's actually 539?
Yeah, we reduced it to 482 for the 15-1 agreement.
No, he's
You're talking
referring to
about
your subject.
lease in place I'm talking about.
Oh, yes.
You didn't get
So
it, it's
they're
539.
showing a rent in their INE at $5. I calculated at $5.30. The computer calculated at $5.34. However, Mr. Neufield's saying that it's owner occupied, so it could just be a book rent. They didn't check off that it was fully occupied or owner occupied, so that is news to us.
So a follow-up question is who's the landlord and who's the tenant? Do you know that? Or who's the business tax bill made out to is to?
The owner is a numbered company, 6393250 Canada Inc. And the tenant on the rent roll that they provided to us is Florco Inc. And they did not check off anything to indicate that it's owner occupied.
Any sales on it in the last 10 years?
Oh wait, we're on. Sorry.
No, sorry, I don't know waste the board's time with that, but what you're saying is that prior to the issuance of the business tax roll, you had already made an internal change on the rent?
At some point, the rent got changed, and a deal was made based on a rent of $4.82 and 7.7 cap. So that's what I am concerned with.
Okay, those are my only questions, and we're going to ask to have it confirmed then as well.
Were you finished with your question?
I think I'm happy with the answer, thank you.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
So you're in agreement, Mr. Neufeld, you're not?
Yeah, I didn't know they'd made the change already, because, you know, we appealed it in November, and the case wasn't heard till January.
When was the?
Right, that'll bring us to 630 Kernahan. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 630 Kernahan Avenue, business ID 28856, New Flyer Industries Canada ULC. Total area of premises is 28,382. You've used an overall ARV per square foot at $9.91. Calculation is below. Two premises. First one is 6,540 at $7.90 base. Full occupancy costs. Second ID is 21,842 square feet at $7.33. Full occupancy costs, generating the total ARV at 281,280. It does show a subject lease at $10.08. However, that is gross, and it does indicate that it's gross. There are some rent comparables listed below. Map on the rear side of the evidence located on Kernahan, off Pandora and Plessis. Subject property aerial photograph below that. And based on that information, we're asking that the ARV be confirmed at 281,280. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions for the assessor?
You know, okay, this tenant occupies other spaces in the property, right? So you've got 28,000 feet here, but you indicate that they have 90,000 in total?
They do have 90,000 in total, and that's what their mailer. This is a multi-tenanted building, right? There's other
And this particular space, is this office space or warehouse space? Do you know?
office space.
It's office, yes, okay. Why wouldn't the office division be doing it if this is office rather than your division for industrial? Just because it's
the entire building is an industrial building.
Now, I'm curious, the other day, I believe it was Wednesday, we had one of your colleagues in testifying that this particular rent was net rather than gross, but you're calling it gross, and you have the mailer in front of you, correct?
Yeah, and even my evidence says right there,
Yeah,
gross
okay.
rents. Yeah, no, I wouldn't argue with that.
No, sometimes it happens and sometimes people believe it. Thank you. We're going to ask for this to be confirmed.
Any questions or concerns, Mr. Lyman?
Chairman, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have no questions.
Thank you. So, not presenting any further, Mr. Neufeld?
No.
You're agreement with the assessed value. Any desire for summation on what we've dealt with the last 7 properties, Mr. Brown?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I mean, and with all the, again, I don't oppose having this there, the computer pulls us down, and I wish I had the same. I was just trying to track down the 78 Hutchins issue, and I believe that we may be looking at as a non-arm's length transaction, just for the record that both the rent and the sale, I don't represent market. That's just something I've discovered now from just looking at my records, because I didn't prepare this. So I think on that basis, our 725 is grossly too high, but that's what we prepared. So that's all I can say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I thank you both for your participation today, and I will call the hearing to a close. All the orders will be out in due course.